Shias, you know?
Yes.
Where do you think they go after death? Like Sunni killing Shia, or Shia killing Sunni, or Wahhabi, you know?
The fact of the matter is this, sir.
Yemen war.
The fact of the matter is this. There is 1 out of 4 people on earth are Muslim.
Yeah, yeah.
And Islam is a big dynamic group. So you have political reasons why people kill each other. But regardless of who kills who, the fact of the matter is you're going to be accountable to God for every single action you take. And the Quran's message, sir, is very, very simple. The Quran says, whoever takes a life of a human being, it is as if he's taken the lives of all human beings. Because we believe all human beings alive today, they come from an original couple of Adam and Eve. So we believe killing one person is equivalent to killing all of humanity. So I don't agree with when people bring up political issues and try and refute theology, because these are two different things.
Yeah, so sorry.
What is your message different from the message of Christianity or of Judaism? You say that you have to follow the concept of the Creator. And what is different than what the Christian says or the Jewish one says? What's so special about the Quran?
That's a good question. Firstly, we believe in all of the prophets which were sent to the Jewish people. We believe in also the prophets which were sent to the Christians, or the ones that the Christians accept, like Jesus and John the Baptist. We accept them all. So we don't make the claim that Islam is a new religion. Islam is the continuation of the Abrahamic faith, and that's all it is. So in regards to how it is different to Christianity and Judaism, it is different in the sense that when Islam was revealed, it got changed over time. All Islam means submission to God. So the Jews, they changed their religion, and so did the Christians. The Christians were told to worship God. Instead, they started worshipping Jesus. So Islam restores the message of Jesus and restores the message of Moses. Now you said to me, why is the Quran special? That's a different question. And I think it's a very interesting question. If I was to tell you there is a book in the world, and this book in the world makes a prediction, and this prediction comes true, then the onus is on you to find out what's in this book and why does it have information which we've only discovered today. And likewise, if there was a man 1400 years ago who said certain particular things, and those particular things came true 1400 years later, then the onus is on you to ask, what's special about this man? What was his message that he knew some information which we didn't know? Just to give you an example of one. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, 1400 years ago, he said, the day of judgment will not come until you see the desert Arabs, the barefooted desert Arabs, build buildings that are going to compete with the skies. That are going to compete with each other. When he said this, he could have easily said this about the Romans. He could have said this about the Persians. He could have said this about the Inca people. He could have said this about the Egyptians, because they all had civilizations. The Arabs used to live in tents. They didn't even have houses. But he said these guys are going to build buildings which are going to be competing with each other. And today in the world, even if you look in the Middle East, when you go to Qatar or Bahrain, they have the tallest buildings in the world. And even here in London, we have the Shah, which is the tallest building in Western Europe, built by the Qataris. These people, 60, 70 years ago, they were camel herders. Right? They were camel herders. My grandfather, I'm originally from Pakistan. My grandfather was born almost 100 years ago. He told me when people from Pakistan or India, when they went over to Hijaz, Saudi Arabia, the Arabs there used to beg them for money because they were so poor. Today, these are the richest people in the world. That's just one prediction. But if I was to tell you, this isn't just a vague prediction. This is a prediction which is falsifiable. Because if the Prophet gave information which we can counter through observation, then it's falsifiable and it's testable. Likewise, the Quran makes a prediction. And one prediction the Quran makes is this. 1400 years ago, when Islam was a little tiny religion in Central Arabia, the Quran made a prediction. And it said, it is He who has sent his messenger with truth, with the religion of truth and guidance, so that it may prevail over all systems, all religions. Today, Islam is one of the biggest religions in the world, and it is in every single corner of the world. And this is a Quranic prediction which we are seeing unfolding in front of us. Likewise, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, he sent letters to the Persians, he sent letters to the Romans, he sent letters to the Africans. And when he sent those letters, some of them rejected him. And he said a very particular prophecy. The Khosrow, the leader of the Persians, he rejected him and he ripped up his letter. So the Prophet said that this man will be removed, and after him there will be no Khosrow, there will be no leader of the Persians, that particular title. After he died, the Persian Empire, which had existed for hundreds of years, that was destroyed. And the Prophet also said about the Romans, they were a superpower at the time. He said, you're going to conquer them. And he said about Egypt, he said, you're going to conquer that. And he said about Syria, you're going to conquer that. And about all of these predictions that he made, including Yemen, these happened within a few years of his death. Let me just explain to you what that's similar to. That's similar to today, the president of Ghana saying, in 5 years or 10 years or in 50 years time, my nation is going to defeat America and Russia, because Persia and Byzantine, they were the leading superpowers in the world. And the Prophet said that, no, you will conquer them. And he said to a man, you are going to wear the crowns of the leader of the Persians. And that's exactly what happened.
I have another question.
No, sir, let me just end on this point. So, everything I'm saying, it could be wrong, but the onus is on you to find out more. All I'm doing is I'm giving you a little reason why there's something special about this book and why there's something special about the Prophet Muhammad.
Okay, I have another question regarding to what you said. Why is Islam the only religion that believes in the principle of dying for the religion, in the Jihad principle? In Judaism, we don't see it. The crucifixion, I forgot the word, the crusade were only political journeys. Why is the Islam only religion who talking about dying to killing for your religion as a commandment?
The question is about jihad. The fact of the matter is this. Jihad is a spiritual struggle. That is what the word means. So in the Quran, when it is used in different contexts. But one thing which God makes clear is this. When you fight, it should be for a just cause. So you don't just decide one day to wake up and think, okay, let's invade China. It doesn't work like that. The way it works is this. In Islam, we believe that when people are wronged, when men, women and children are under siege and they are killed, there is the right of them to be protected. And if someone does that and while they are doing that, they die in that act, we believe that they go to paradise. We don't believe in senseless killings, in suicide bombing, and in all of this stuff that you see online. We don't believe in that. We don't believe in this sort of ISIS ideology. That's not Islam. What we believe in is just warfare. And that is that without a reason, you don't just attack someone. Islam teaches in the Quran says to be tolerant and kind towards them. When Muslims took over India, for example, where I'm originally from, Muslims ruled India for hundreds of years, over 500 years. They didn't go around converting everyone to Muslim.
They do in the blood, don't they? They try to go there.
They gave people the freedom of religion. The Quran says there is no compulsion of religion. But, sir, you can ask me. You can ask me a question. Yes, it does say that. It does say that. It does say that.
So you admit there's no compulsion.
Okay, what's wrong with that?
It's the same with Christianity.
What's wrong with
I go to hell if you don't believe.
I agree. But what's wrong with that?
But it's not a very nice thing to believe that if you don't, someone doesn't agree with you, they're going to go to hell, is it?
But hang on.
That's not a nice thing.
What's your definition of nice?
We're all going to
Nice
hell.
is
I don't think it's nice to actively reject the Lord that created you. That's not nice.
You're assuming there's a Lord that created that you know something about. I don't believe you know anything about.
Okay, so you're saying there's
I
no God.
believe you're a professional speaker, and your organisation, how much money does it get? £800,000 a year, I think you just said charity. Is it £800,000 a year?
What does that prove?
It proves you're a professional speaker. What's your salary for the people who work? You know, it was £30,000 a year.
What does that prove?
It proves that you're a paid professional speaker.
You're an atheist?
Working. No, I'm certainly not an atheist. I'm a truth seeker.
Okay.
I'm a truth seeker.
The fact of the matter is this. We can go off on tangents, but I'm here
It's
to
not
talk
a
about
tangent.
something very particular.
You're talking on behalf of an organisation. That's a registered charity.
So to your point, your answer to him, so Islam rejects what ISIS is doing. Is that correct? I wish we heard more of that because.
Well, you would if you turn to alternative news. For example,
I go on alternative news all the
if you
time.
go to BBC, if you go to Al Jazeera, if you go to these mainstream outlets, they don't give Muslims a voice. But the fact of the matter is this, the Quran is very, very clear. Whoever takes the life of a human being, it's as if they take the lives of all human beings.
Unless, what are the conditions? If you read the full quote from the Quran, there are certain conditions to that, unless they are disruptors in the land. And if somebody stood up and they disagreed with Islam, they'd be called a disruptor in the land, and then they could be put to death. So they respect anybody Islam, as long as they keep quiet, then they're respected. As long as they submit to Islam, they're respected. If you don't submit to Islam, you're in trouble.
Okay,
You're in
sir,
trouble.
let me just ask you, if what you said is correct, let's assume what you said is correct. Why is it that in the House of Wisdom in Baghdad, where all the sciences today trace themselves back to, you had atheists, Christians, Jews, Muslims, agnostics, fire worshippers, Hindus, people from all across the world, all of their philosophies in one place, and you had this coffee house of ideas. Why did that happen if what you said is true?
What I'm talking about is now, in the modern world today, my relatives are from Malaysia. They're Malaysian Chinese, right? And the students that are Muslim get free education in England because they're Muslim. And they, Chinese or Buddhist have got to pay. And another thing, any business in Malaysia, if it's a Chinese business, they have to take a Muslim. He just sits there as a partner and does nothing, right? But they always have Muslims first in Malaysia. 40 years ago, you could see a...
Sorry, is that in the Quran? Just to clarify, the things you're talking about, is that in the Quran?
In the Quran,
Oh, he's talking about politics. Yeah, exactly.
Politics.
No, sorry.
Islamic
Sorry,
law.
I was just confused because Malaysia, you were mentioning Malaysia, and you were talking about the Quran first, so I'm totally
Think
confused.
about the question which I asked you about the House of Wisdom. The fact of the matter is this, we are told today that from a young age till the time that you are at university, there is no God, and religion is backward, and we're told all of life is explained through Darwinian evolution.
No, we're not. I was never told that. I'm a truth seeker. I was told to get the truth, you have to read Aristotle, Plato, and if you're Chinese, or you're from the Chinese era, read Confucius as well. The three people.
When I was at school, I wasn't taught that.
No.
People in school are not taught that. Maybe you came from a different era.
I thought for myself.
Okay, no, that's
I didn't take that.
But what I'm challenging today, is we are taught that Darwinian evolution explains life and you don't need God. That's a rhetoric that's being taught. All I'm doing today, I'm challenging that because I don't think it makes sense.
I've got something superior to Islam for you to believe in. Superior, and anyone would be, what is the greatest good? to aim to? The greatest good. You tell me. Any Muslim, tell me what the
Let me
greatest
tell you,
good is.
okay, the greatest good is to worship God.
No, the greatest good, according to Aristotle,
Forget him.
Aristotle said this.
is what makes human beings flourish.
Aristotle.
What makes human
Sir,
beings
the fact
flourish?
of the matter is this.
What makes human beings healthy?
We shouldn't look at the world from a European-centric worldview. And I'm sorry, but this is what we get in the world today. We just get told as if the Western worldview is the worldview. As if there is, that is the apex of the human race almost. The fact of the matter is this. The fact of the matter is this. Even in the descent of man, what does Darwin say? He just reiterates in a different way what you're saying. He speaks about how the highest are who? The Europeans, the English, the white.
Confucius is not a European. How long has Confucius been a European?
Going down, as
Confucius.
his contemporary Ernst Haeckel did, he puts down the human races. You have whites, and then you slowly have Chinese, and then you have Asian,
Confucius
then going
says
down you have
all
the black.
those under the
Sir,
four corners of
you have
China
the black,
are
and
brothers.
underneath the black,
all
you have the
brothers.
apes. And the distance between the whites and the blacks is greater than that distance between the blacks and the apes. Now this nonsense, which is taught, that's what I'm trying to challenge. And your answer, when I asked a rational question, was to go to Aristotle. Why is it that we're always taught, if you want to reason or use logic or use common sense, it must go back to a bunch of guys in Greece wearing togas? Where does that come from? Why does that even make any sense?
What makes sense
this
is
thinking,
that animals
sir,
should be healthy,
continue,
people
sir.
should be healthy,
Sir,
and
sir,
that is the
reality is
healthy
this.
children.
I'm here to debunk nonsense. And
So
what
it's
you're saying
nonsense
right
to be
now
healthy.
is actually nonsense.
Is it nonsense to be healthy?
I'm also here to talk about how the same people who teach us this nonsense
be
about
healthy.
scientific racism
Flourish.
are the same people who, even though they win Nobel Prizes, like Francis Crick, they believe human beings and all of life originally was sent down to Earth before they were developed by aliens. And people like Richard Dawkins defends this. I'm here to challenge these nonsensical views because I think one person's view should be challenged if it doesn't make sense. What's your question, sir?
Why is it nonsensical? Why do you think humans were not sent by aliens?
Okay, anything that we believe in should be based upon evidence. Have you seen any aliens lately?
No, but I've seen evidence that, suddenly the cultures like ancient Egypt appeared out of nowhere. There was.
Were you around? How old are you?
Well, we have historical evidence, we have archaeology.
We weren't around Jesus or Muhammad either, so...
Okay, no, but where did the ancient Egyptians come from? They came from aliens?
We don't know, but there was nothing, and then suddenly...
Well, how do you know there was nothing? How do you know there's
The
nothing?
archaeology tells us, at one point, there is nothing, and 100 years later, there are temples, there is writing, complete cultural system, complete system of writing. Where did it come from?
Sir,
It came from the people.
how does archaeology work?
Well, they dig, then they take
dig,
samples, they date them using carbon dating.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Okay. And how many, say, archaeology or fossils or paleontology, whatever you want to call it, how much percentage recovery do you think we have of life that existed?
I cannot tell you that, but in Egypt, pretty much everything has been already recovered.
Okay, let me just give you one statistic. According to the National Science Foundation, 99.9999% of all species that have ever existed, not organisms, species, have never been observed. So that gives you a little bit of a hint about just how reliable archaeology, paleontology, or the fossil record actually is. All we can actually do is this. We can use the evidence we have now to make inferences. I agree, your inferences might be different to mine, but we need to try and find what is the best inference. And I think it makes more sense to look at information in the DNA and the fact that we are conscious, moral, intelligent beings far more than what is needed for survival and reproduction, to infer from that that we have an origin which is not naturalistic, that we didn't just come together by a cosmic accident. I think that's a nonsensical worldview, and that's all I'm challenging today.